All right, there we go. Okay. Well, if you are hopping on, welcome. If you're watching a replay, welcome. Glad you're here. Keegan will be on shortly. It is a beautiful day outside. The rain stopped. Brief little rain there in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm gonna raise this up a little bit. Oh, I see somebody. Is that Keegan? Let me invite him. There he is coming. Okay. Tell you what, I am still getting used to all of this. And I'm getting a bunch of messages. My family is sending a thread. Swipe, swipe. All right, here he is. Yeah, add him on camera. All right. He's adding,
Hey,
adding. Oh, good to see you.
good to see you too.
Well, happy Tuesday.
Yes,
And happy Tuesday to all of you people. Let's see. How are you doing today, Keegan?
I am doing good. I just took a nap, so I'm feeling refreshed a little bit.
That's great. I just got off a call. I do a Tuesday writers call where we're all just on Zoom for accountability, and I was
Yeah,
working on filling out spreadsheets for industry stuff. It's just
very
not super,
cool.
but it's good things. Good things. But anyway, well, we wanted to talk about Mother's Day and Pearson Perfected. If you have joined our conversations in the past, we did a couple before. We were talking about Pearson Perfected a lot for Easter and to support the Ukraine. But since Mother's Day is right around the corner, we thought, you know what, this also is a perfect fit for Mother's Day. So let's talk about it again. And um, and you can still purchase the film to support the work of Hope Worldwide in the Ukraine. Um, so we can talk about that too. All right.
Awesome.
I guess I want to just jump in with what's something you love about your mom, Keegan? Tell us about your mom.
My mom is, there are a lot of great things I love about her. I think one that sticks out to me is she is a sacrificial mom. She had to take care of my dad. My dad passed away maybe a year and a half or 2 years ago, and as his health was declining, my mom stepped up to the plate per se, and she was like his 24/7 nurse because he had a lot of issues mentally, uh, physically, emotionally, to the point where he was basically reverted to the mind of a child, and he was basically bedridden, so he couldn't do a lot on his own. And so that was probably one of the hardest things that my mom had to go through, but one of the things that just made me admire her even more, the strength that she had in being a volunteer nurse to him, like walking him to the kitchen, feeding him, um, cleaning up after him, just everything you think a nurse does at a maybe at a home or at a hospice. That's what my mom did. Eventually, she got some help from outside nurses or outside care, but for the most part, she was that 24-hour 7 nurse. And so that really stood out to me, just her sacrificial, unconditional love. Because I don't know if I could have done it. I don't know who in the family could have done what she did.
Wow. I mean, caretaking is just so incredible. Um, so
Yeah,
thank you for sharing that. What a mom.
yeah,
That must have been hard to watch too.
yeah, yeah, yeah. My dad, he went down fast when he started going declining in his health. It was basically sort of like this downhill. Um, and so, yeah, it was hard to see him in the state that he was. And I had to think of some times to where I just thinking of ways to give my mom a break because she needed a lot of breaks. And so even in the little time that I was able to help her out by making sure, oh my gosh, my cat is right behind me trying to get my attention. And I'm
I
like,
was
I'm
watching
not
your
paying
cat.
attention to her. But yeah, and so in the little time that I was able to take care of him, just to give her some relaxation, I was like, this is tough. And I didn't do much. I probably just like helped him out of the bed, made sure he was fed. Like he couldn't eat solid food, so I had to feed him like liquid, like a smoothie kind of texture, through a
Yeah,
straw and stuff like that. And I was like,
yeah,
doggone it, my mom has to do this every day, all day, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. So I kudos to all the caretakers and nurses and people that work in hospices and homes. That's a tough job.
yeah. Moms are amazing. Um, yeah, thank you again for sharing that. My mom hasn't been in the same situation at least yet, thankfully. Um, but one thing I'll share that I love about my mom is she has a way of identifying when I need help figuring something out that I don't know how I feel or I can't get to the bottom of why I'm bothered by something. And so she is just so perceptive and will know all the right questions to get me to discover something on my own without her telling me this is what you need to do or this is what's going on, which I'm sure has been very challenging to not tell me when she probably could. Just wait to let me figure something out. Um, so I was actually just thinking about how grateful I am that, of course, she's always been a great mom, but now in this stage of our life, she's really a friend as well, and we share so many common interests, and we can talk very openly. So I just treasure that. I know not everybody has that type of relationship.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so I wanted to ask, what do we? Because Pearson Perfected is about Mary, the mother of Jesus, and it um, shows her at the end of her life talking to Luke, and Keegan plays Luke in the film, and she is recounting to him the chapters of her life um, at Jesus' death, his resurrection, seeing him again after that, watching him ascend, and then how her life changes after that. So, as a mom, what do you think women out there who are mothers can how can they relate to Mary as portrayed in this film? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think they could relate to the the process of grief that Mary went through, just the in her fears and then in her realization that, okay, there's a part in the film where, without giving too much away, where you say, ah, this is the first day without my son. And just, I think mothers who have gone through losses of close ones, whether it be their own children. I have a sister that lost her son when he was just a teenager, 16, 17 years old, in a car accident. And so she had her process of grieving, but I think what mothers could relate with Mary in that there is every single person has their own process of grieving. And Mary's process was the fears that she had and sort of, in a sense, denial, because it was so, to me, the loss of Jesus was so traumatic to her. Like it was just this unjustified, unfair loss that she was like, I did everything right, or seemingly I did everything right. He seemingly did everything right, but he still died. And I think Mary, the maybe the denial, maybe the anger, the frustration, like, and the real raw emotions that we go through when we lose either someone we love, someone we care about, just the mixture of emotions that each person goes through at different times. For Mary, she went through at different stages. There was anger. At different stages, there was just sadness. There was this sort of loneliness, this realization that, oh my gosh, my son is no longer here. There was a fear. And so I think that that's how mothers can relate is it, through Mary, you see how much she loved Jesus, despite sometimes not totally agreeing with every decision that he made, and just even feeling a little bit slighted that, okay, it seemed like he chose, these are the people that deserted him, abandoned him, fled from him, hated him, persecuted him over his own mom. Like, did he think about me when he was making this choice? Did God think about me? Like how I would feel with losing my only, not my only son, but my one of my closest sons. And so I think that's how mothers could relate.
Oh, that I think those are great thoughts. I'm not a mother yet, so it's of course I'm um, making some informed guesses, I guess, as to how they would relate. But I was encouraged, and I spoke in Indiana for Easter, and there were some moms that came and talked to me afterward, and they were like, "You were channeling mom, you know." They're like, "You just wait." um, so I guess I would just add to that if you're watching this and you're a mom, and perhaps you have gone through loss of some kind, perhaps a miscarriage or the terrible loss of a child. Of course, Mary did, yeah, she did experience that after the loss of her husband. So she was a single mom for many years on top of this. Um, and I think she chose faithfulness through that time. Sure, I think she was uncertain about a lot of things, especially when Jesus was in his ministry and gone. Um, she wasn't sure where things were headed. Um, and so then I wonder about moms who are then mothers of adult children, watching them pursue their dreams and or their ministries, I guess you could say, rooting them on and seeing how the world reacts to them. Um, so I imagine mothers feel those things even more than perhaps their children. Rejoicing when they have successes and mourning their losses. Um, I feel like my mom has had to deal with my emotional cycles of like, what am I doing with my life over and over again. So I don't know if Mary experienced that in the same way, but I think there's some of that there. And
Mhm.
and I also think there's a lot of joy that we see in the piece and a lot of hope, especially toward the end of the film, because I suppose unlike most of us mothers who have gone through loss, we don't get to see that child we lost again in the flesh, but Mary did. So she gets this second chance to talk with him about things that maybe she wanted to say that she didn't get to. So it's sort of an invitation. What might you have to say to your children um, if today were the last day, if this week were the last week? Um, are there Mary sorts through like apologies that she wanted to make to him, or desires that she had that she didn't express before. So I think just seeing her as a human, as a mom who didn't
Mhm.
have everything figured out and was just trying to live day by day faithfully is really inspiring and hopefully takes some
Mhm.
pressure. off. Like she wasn't perfect, um,
Yeah.
and and she still had an incredible family and her children who she was. I'm sure Jesus was a much easier child than her other children, so she probably it was probably a rude wake up, when her other children were causing issues. She's like, oh, I thought I was doing so well with Jesus. Now what's going on? So, um, but I am sure it was really hard to see them not choose to follow him for a while, or not be in support of him, or have mixed feelings about him. But then seeing their progression later on, and her other sons were martyred for the faith, and so Jesus changed this entire family. There is hope for every kind of family out
Yes. Was Jesus the baby? Was
there.
he
He
the
was
first?
firstborn. Yeah, the
The
virgin birth.
firstborn.
Well, she
Yeah.
was likely a virgin after that, at least in the way I read the scriptures. I know some people will contest that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
it's just
had
interesting because,
siblings,
yeah,
sisters.
yeah, because we have our eldest, who's our firstborn, our eldest daughter, and we have twins who are 7. They're about to be 8 tomorrow, a boy and a girl.
Oh,
And
birthday.
yeah, yeah. But the firstborn always, to me, is like the first and the last born. The middle child, the middle one just gets the bad rap. But like the firstborn and the last one, they always seem to hold a special place. I don't know. I don't know if I want to call it favoritism or what, but our firstborn would always be that's the one that we, in a sense, like we coddled, like we were, in a sense, like very overwhelmingly like meticulous about. Whereas when after the firstborn and then the twins came along, we're like, whatever, they eat some dirt, they'll be fine, or they do, they fall down, they'll be fine, And so the firstborn is always sort of like, oh my gosh, I'm learning this. This is new to me. This is what, want to make sure everything is done right, everything is perfect. And so I just look at Mary as, wow, she lost her firstborn, and the firstborn came to her in the most unique and special way that no other child would come to any other person on the face of this earth. So I think there was some of that there too as well. And I think I want to piggyback on what you said about that joy. I think that joy came once she went through that process of grief, and in going through that process of grieving, she sort of realized and acknowledged this was the purpose behind that death. That, okay, his death was not a selfish act just to make me sad and depressed and miserable. Like his death had, this is bigger than me, and it's not about me, it's about God's plan, God's will, not only for my life, because without his death, I would not have that opportunity to have a relationship with God, but also for the entire world, for every person in the world. And so I think her joy, what she found that joy in realizing the purpose and God's will and God's plan, not only for her, but for everyone else.
Yeah, I wonder what that realization was like for her, and when that happened. I take a guess at it in the film. Maybe it happened after his ascension, and he starts explaining, or sorry, after he's resurrected and he starts teaching his disciples more and explaining things. But yeah, I don't know, but I know it had to happen at some point
Yeah.
to realize that. And then I I think she was always somebody who wanted to be a part of something a lot bigger than her.
Yeah.
To be so young, and then to be included in this grand plan, I think she must have had like a special sense for that. Like this is bigger than me. Um, but she might have felt that might have caused her to feel a lot of pressure too, or feel like she
Yeah.
messed up, or um,
Yeah. I think I saw your realization of it in the conversation with Anna. I think that was where it's sort of like, okay, um, she gets it. When you were talking to Anna and you were in a set, basically you were sharing your faith, but I think that's when at least I observed that realization that, okay, Mary gets it. Mary gets that, hey, this is for everyone. He died for everyone, and he wants me to be able to share that with people. So I can't just make it about me. I can't just make it about what's going on with me. I gotta turn this grief into some kind of purpose and mission. And I think that's what you did. I think that's even in the film, I think that's what Mary did. Mary turned her grief into her mission. As as it was Jesus's mission to seek and save the lost, Mary was like, well, let me do that, because of what he did for me. And it was that gratitude too. I felt like I saw Mary, like you were joyful, but you were also grateful. Like, wow, he did this for me. He can do this for you. And even in that gratitude, you were vulnerable and honest with Anna and just honest with yourself about, hey, I'm not perfect. I'm not just this ideal, iconic woman, lady. Like, he died for me, and just relating with Anna, with her flaws, with her weaknesses, that, hey, this is for you as well. This promise is for you. This gift is for you.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. That was a fun scene to film. Both Marie and I think, had many tears. Um, at least what I experienced during that scene was feeling, um, saying the words and then feeling them very personally. Um, as Mary's trying to put together all of it, and as something that was, if you go to church or you hear people talk about the gospel a lot, you'll hear Jesus died for you. You'll hear that quite a lot. Um, and something that I don't think we emphasize as much, but that I believe the early Christians did, is this resurrection that Jesus had, and that it was a bodily resurrection. That Mary had this hope of Jesus, of him coming back, in person, and he did, in this glorious body, and then he ascended again. But there is this hope of being reunited physically, not just being an embodied spirit, being in some state of bliss, but um, existing, and heaven and earth being made new, and everybody being united. And it's this really incredible vision, um, which is, I mean, what bigger thing could you dream to be a part of? Um, and so that, and then the maybe my biggest takeaway, maybe we could end it on this, and then tell you a little bit more about how you can watch it if you want. The relationship that Mary and Jesus had was so intimate and special, and nobody else will ever be able to have that relationship with him in the same way that she did. He was, her son. But the, I guess, incredible good news of the resurrection is that because of the power of the Holy Spirit that resurrected him, he gives that to his followers, so that then, in the form of the Holy Spirit, he's actually living in people. So it's this relationship that's even more intimate than mother and son. It's inside you, your body. He is it, to guide and to teach and to counsel. And that was just blowing my mind this year, thinking about, wow, I think Mary and Jesus had something so special, and they did. But what I get to have with Jesus, what anybody who wants to know Jesus can have with him, is even more intimate, than that, even more personal. So I don't know how all that works. I don't even know if I'm living into that reality as much as I want to, but I think that's really an incredible truth.
Yeah.
Well, if you would like to watch Pearson Perfected and see Keegan as Luke and me as Mary and some other amazing people who helped out with this performance, you can get it at my website, which is katiedelrocco.com/rentscreenby. and I'll put the link in the video below. And thanks for coming by to watch. Thank you, replay watchers, for watching. And if you do rent or throw, proceeds will go to Hope Worldwide. It's doing a lot of great work in Ukraine. There's a lot of mothers out there who are going through a lot right now and who could really benefit from the support that an organization like Hope is giving.
Yeah.
Yeah. So please check that out. Please share with your friends if you watch it. So your dog?
I know the dog is making every time, Katie, every single time I get on the phone or I have a meeting, everybody wants to make noise. They have to make noise. They gotta be heard, including our pets.
Well, thank Keegan so much for joining. And thank you guys. We'll talk to you later.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.